Top 5 Tuesday. I still haven't sorted out the spinner, but, there's not many weeks left in the year, so it seems a bit pointless setting it up again. I might as well just go through the ones that I haven't done manually and leave it at that. I think that'll be a simpler approach. So, today we're going to do top 5 non-fiction books. I've read a lot of non-fiction books. Weirdly, possibly my favourite kind of book, which is a bit strange. But, there's it's a bit of a broad category, because I feel like fiction books, you can quite easily compare them, even if they're, different genres and things. You can still compare, writing style and immersion and plot and all that sort of thing. With non-fiction books, they're all over the place, and you can still compare things like writing style, but it's less important because it's more about dissemination of information. And speaking of which, number 5, I'm going to go Information is Beautiful. It's a damn good book. I do think that it's a little outdated now, because it was there's probably been another edition since I got my copy. There's at least 2 that I'm aware of, but that was still like 2015 or something. So it's quite an old book now, but it's a really nice, not a guide as such. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like a good showcase, a good gallery of how you can put across information without putting across information. It's a good way of showing you that it doesn't all have to be walls of text. It can be visual, and it can be quite what's the words are not coming to mind today, but data can be visual, and Information is Beautiful is a fantastic resource for seeing how that's possible. Some of it is inaccurate. That is to say, not the data isn't inaccurate, but the way it's shown isn't as precise as it could be. But it doesn't always matter with infographics. It's usually about the broad strokes, the overall picture, and that's kind of the key thing. Again, dissemination of information. Sometimes you don't need a whole essay's worth of data when you can condense it into a nice infographic, and that's what Information Beautiful is all about, and it's really damn good. Number 4 then. Gosh, where do I go from here? Let's go with another design book, I think. We'll go with Know Your Onions. I did mention, actually, the 2 of these I've mentioned on one of the earliest vlogs of the year, the vlog about design books, and I'm going back to it again because I really do like it. I bought it, I read it while I was having a pizza in Leeds, and it taught me a lot of things that I didn't already know, which is quite good, because I'd just done a degree, and the fact that there's still more to learn, well, I think that's to the book's credit. It's written by a very old graphic designer who knows a lot about the trade. Not only does it touch upon, it's mostly about design philosophy. It's not really about the techniques, because techniques change year on year. A few years ago, everybody was using Illustrator. Now people are using Figma and the thing with the crystal. I think that might be Figma, actually. Sketch, I think it's called. And there's various other applications and techniques that people are using, and it changes all the time. So you can't really write a book about that easily, but you can write a book about experience that one has had during their career as a designer, and common pitfalls and tips and tricks, and the key thing is the philosophy, because the philosophy doesn't change, really. Ideas change and styles change, and the zeitgeist changes, but the underlying philosophies do not. They pretty much stay the same. So it's a really, really good resource. One particular thing that I remember, it's in storage, it's been storage for ages, otherwise I would have read it again probably. But one particular thing I do remember is that it tells you the exact mix to get a really, really good deep black in your printing. So the mix of CMYK that you need to put together to get the best black. I thought that was really interesting. So number 4, Know Your Onions. Number 3, Art of Point and Click Adventures, probably. I have that. It's now in that box. I have the special big box copy, and it is a big box because it's a big book. There's a lot to cover with the art and of point and click graphics, and it's a lot about the history of point and click adventure games as well. But there's some absolutely stunning artwork in there, and some brilliant interviews with the people who made it. Of particular note, a fella called Mark Ferrari. Great name, but also, here's a little tip: look up Living Worlds, and you'll thank me for it because it's beautiful. Some wonderful examples of pixel art and what's the term called? Palette shifting, colour cycling, something like that. And the art of point and click has all of that and more in spades. It's fabulous. Not only that, but again, distinct memory of some of Cyan World's early adventure games, which were all in black and white. And I don't mean monochrome, I don't mean grayscale, I don't mean like black and white films were various shades of grey. I mean literally black and white. And some of the work that they produced just using those two shades is phenomenal. It's worth getting the book just to see them alone. Oh, absolutely delightful. Number 2 then. Number two, I am going to go with... now. Probably go with Terrible Old Games You Probably Never Heard Of. I can't not. I have read that and its sequel, Attack of the Flickering Skeletons, far too many times, and I get a lot out of them because they make me laugh. It's as simple as that. They're about terrible old games, and you probably never heard of them. And I enjoy them. They're a fun read. They're not like the deepest non-fiction. They're not the most they're not going to teach you anything really. They're not going to... I should say it, because I'm talking about one book here, and that is my number 2 pick. Yeah, it's not going to change your world especially, but it gets the number 2 place simply based on entertainment value. And I appreciate good comedy, and I appreciate something that can lift me up. And if I just pick up Terrible Old Games, it's only a little book, then I can get some joy out of it, and I think that's very important. Might be shallow, but I don't care. I like the book. But my number 1, simply for sheer ingenuity value, as well as the various positives and accolades you may bestow upon a non-fiction book, it's got to be Understanding Comics. Man, what a fantastic idea for a book, because it tells you about comics, and it teaches you about the philosophies and the design styles of comics, how comics differ from how they used to be to how they are now, various different art styles and artists, different ways of conveying things through comics, what different comics look like in different regions. So you've got your French comics, you've got your manga, you've got your American DC and the like, and it all sounds really great already, doesn't it? It sounds very exciting, but you may well be imagining it to be, a sort of information book. Not very exciting in terms of actually reading the thing. It's a comic. It's a comic about comics, and I think it's absolutely genius. Loads of people have said the same thing. I don't care, because I think it's a wonderfully fantastic way to, once again, disseminate information, and it does an amazing job. I can remember a lot of different things that book teaches because of the way it's been portrayed and displayed. I personally work better when I've got pictures and colours to remember, and while it is a black and white comic, there's still got the imagery aspect that it sticks in my head. There is the one thing in particular that I've remembered out of this book is showing the passage of time in a comic. So you know, you picture in a comic and you can see all the different panels and things, and the way you would show a longer passage of time between two panels is to make one of them a bit longer, and it works really, really well. And I've started to notice that with some of the comics that I've read. It's brilliant, and it's nice to read that comic and then read other comics and see how it all relates together. Oh, wonderful. If you've got any interest at all in comics, you don't even not even making them necessarily, just any interest in them whatsoever, absolutely worth a read. Definitely recommend. And I have been waffling on for far too long now. Only just over time though. That's got to be a new speedrun record for Top 5 Tuesdays. Anyway, I shall stop there. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.